It's said that roughly 80 to 90% of all silent films are lost forever. Half of all American films before 1950 will never be seen again. We have a duty moving forward to preserve film history. And what better way to do that than to give forgotten films a brand new Blu-ray release? Even though there are a ton of films that have already been given the Blu-ray treatment with amazing companies such as Shout Factory, Arrow Video, Vinegar Syndrome, Code Red, Indicator, Blue Underground, and Kino Lorber shining light on lesser-known horror films, there are still so many films that lack a Blu-ray release, and even some yet that don't even have a DVD release. Yeah, some I'm sure are garbage, but there are so many lesser-known horror films that are deserving of a high-definition release. Hello and welcome to the HellBound Horror Show. If you watch my channel at all, you know that I love lesser-known horror films. I love the idea of going down a rabbit hole of forgotten horror films. The deeper I dig, the more obscure and underappreciated the films become. But most of the films that I've covered on my channel already have a Blu-ray release. So it gets you thinking, what other films aren't on Blu-ray yet? Let me know in the comments below what films you want to see released on Blu-ray in the future. Little disclaimer here, it's very hard to search to see if these films have ever gotten a Blu-ray release outside of the United States. I'm using a few sources, but information is hard to come by. It's very possible that there is a Blu-ray release somewhere in the world, but let's just say that these films are really hard to come by and a little pricey if you do see them in the wild. This by no means is a comprehensive list. These are just films that I want on Blu-ray in my personal collection. And no, we're not going to talk about Barbie and the Nutcracker from 2001, although it is in desperate need of Blu-ray. Alone in the Dark, 1982. No, we're not talking about the video game, and no, we're not talking about the film from 2005. We are talking about Jack Sholder's 1982 film Alone in the Dark. Jack Sholder should sound familiar to some horror hounds. He was the editor of 1981's The Burning and had major roles in shaping New Line Cinema, at least in its horror department. Early New Line Cinema liked him so much that they had him direct Alone in the Dark in 1982 and then had him direct A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge in 1985. I haven't seen this film because the DVD goes for a pretty penny, and it hasn't been released since 2007. The plot sounds amazing though. A quartet of murderous psychopaths break out of a mental hospital during a power blackout and lay siege on their doctor's house. The doctor is played by Donald Pleasance. This sounds like a hidden horror classic, and someone really needs to re-release this one. Blood Beach, 1981. Okay. I've seen this one, and yeah, it's not very good. It's really slow and there's not a lot to it, but John Saxon is in it and he's playing a detective. The film is worth the watch for John Saxon alone. Basically, beach-going people start sinking in the sand and get devoured by some creature who's hidden beneath the surface. No one knows who is doing this. The creature isn't seen until the final minute or so, and even when it is revealed, you don't get to see it much. It may leave some fans in awe and wonder. It may keep them thinking, but for most people, it would just feel like a huge waste of time. The film is cheesy and went for more of a Jaws ripoff, which is strange for 1981, which was the peak year of the slasher film craze. Blood Beach was released in Germany on DVD and also in Japan, but there has been no American release on DVD or Blu-ray. It's a shame. Sweet Home, 1989. I bet more people know about the video game based on the movie rather than the movie itself. Sweet Home was a Famicom game only released in Japan. Famicom was the Japanese version of the Nintendo Entertainment System. Sweet Home is often credited as being the first survival horror game ever made. It helped inspire Resident Evil. It's an RPG that lets you play as a group of people shooting a documentary about a painter in his old abandoned house. The game was released by Capcom, who later released Resident Evil. For more information regarding the video game, visit Uncle Derek's review on it on Stop Skeletons from Fighting. Link is in the description. But enough about the video game, what about the actual movie? Well, I haven't seen it yet, but it looks pretty awesome. It follows the same plot of the game, and it looks like a visual effects feast. I would love to own this on Blu-ray, but sadly, it seems like it hasn't gotten much love. Walt Disney's Mr. Boogedy, 1986, and Walt Disney's Bride of Boogedy, 1987. Wait, Disney is bad at releasing movies on Blu-ray, and they're bad at making their movies constantly available to the public? What? Mr. Boogedy and its sequel, Bride of Boogedy, were made for TV Disney films, and they are extremely fun and spooky for young audiences. I actually did a video on Mr. Boogedy, and it's my most watched video on my channel, so it shows that there is still a love for the franchise. I grew up with the film, and it has always had such a soft spot in my heart. Both films are loaded with talented actors that have gone on to do fairly big roles. They are well-crafted films and are the perfect gateway for young kids to get into horror. Both have been released on DVD, but there is no sighting of a Blu-ray release anywhere. I could be here all day talking about a wish list of films that I would love to see get a Blu-ray release, like 1979's Friday the 13th, The Orphan. It was the first horror film to use the title Friday the 13th, so that's fun.
And on a fateful Friday the 13th, the orphan arises to kill.
Or Home Sweet Home from 1981. It's a Thanksgiving-themed slasher film. How many of those do we have? Not a ton. And we're not even talking about all the sequels to horror films, like some of the Prom Night sequels, or even foreign horror classics like Juwan the Grudge. I am thankful for so much in life. But I'd be a lot more thankful if all these films got a remastered release. This list could go on and on and on, but I wanted to keep it short and sweet and find out what you all had to say. Let me know what films you want to see released on Blu-ray in the future. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone.